Good morning and welcome to This Day in History for October 14th. This cool mug is from, I don't know if you can quite see that. Don't want to spill it. Fort Worth Zoo. I got two of them, this one and one in turquoise. I missed the memo that said do not put in dishwasher, and the blue one got in the dishwasher, and a lot of this cool decorative stuff came off, so that's not happy, but this one's still good. I thought the plumbers would be back again today. They're not quite finished yet, but I haven't seen or heard from them yet, so let's see if we can get this knocked out before they do. Let's get on with the news of the day. We're going to start all the way back in 1066 with the Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings was precipitated by a succession crisis. King Edward died earlier that year and left no clear heir to the throne, and apparently just about everyone who thought they might be entitled to it decided to start, clamoring for it. And this ended up with the Battle of Hastings. In 1644, English philosopher, Quaker, and founder of Pennsylvania, William Penn, was born in London, England. In 1890, Dwight D. Eisenhower, World War II general and 34th President of the United States from 1953 to 1961, was born in Denison, Texas. He died in 1969 at age 78. And we've been over there to his childhood home. There's a statue of him there. It's a little bit larger than life. And for some reason, my little dog Annie, she just started barking at him. I'm not sure what she thought was going on there, but it was rather entertaining for us. In 1893, poet E. Cummings was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts. In 1912, Theodore Roosevelt was shot in Milwaukee. He was on his way to give a campaign speech, and he was shot by a man who, when captured, claimed that any man looking for a third term ought to be shot. Fortunately, Roosevelt only suffered a flesh wound, and the bullet had been slowed down by his glasses case and his manuscript in the breast pocket of his heavy coat. And by golly, he went on to give that speech. He didn't win the third term, though. In 1918, Adolf Hitler was wounded in a British gas attack. In 1926, the popular children's book character Winnie the Pooh, created by British author A. Milne, made its literary debut. In 1927, British actor Roger Moore, best known for his portrayal of James Bond, was born in London on October 14, 1927. He died in 2017 at the age of 89. In 1939, American fashion designer Ralph Lauren was born in the Bronx, New York, on this day in 1939. 1944, German Field Marshal General Erwin Rommel, also known as the Desert Fox, died by suicide. Rommel had been implicated in a plot to assassinate Hitler earlier in the year, but due to his status as a national hero, Hitler offered him the choice between committing suicide in return for assurances that his reputation would remain intact and that his family would not be persecuted following his death, or facing a trial that would result in disgrace and execution. He chose the former and took the cyanide pill on this day in 1944. 1947, American Air Force test pilot Chuck Yeager became the first human to break the sound barrier in the Bell X-1 experimental aircraft. 1957, Wake Up Little Susie becomes the Everly Brothers' first #1 hit. I remember, wake up, little Susie, wake up. 1959, Australian actor Errol Flynn died. 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis begins when the United States obtains photographic evidence of missiles in western Cuba. 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. wins the Nobel Peace Prize for his nonviolent resistance to racial prejudice in America. At 35 years of age, he was the youngest person ever to receive the award. In 1964, Nikita Khrushchev was ousted as premier of the Soviet Union. He was succeeded as the head of the Communist Party by his former protege, Leonid Brezhnev, who would eventually become chief of state as well. In 1968, U.S. servicemen were sent to Vietnam for second tours. The U.S. Defense Department officials announced that the Army and the Marines would be sending about 24,000 men back to Vietnam for involuntary second tours because of the length of the war, high turnover of personnel resulting from 1 year of duty, and the tight supply of experienced soldiers. This decision had an extremely negative impact on troop morale and the combat readiness of U.S. forces elsewhere in the world as troops were transferred to meet the increased personnel requirements in Vietnam. 1977, American singer and actor Bing Crosby died. In 1990, American conductor, pianist, and composer Leonard Bernstein died. In 1994, the movie Pulp Fiction opened in theaters. In 1994, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and Foreign Minister Shimon Peres shared the Nobel Peace Prize with the president of the Palestinian National Authority, Yasser Arafat. In 2012, American politician Arlen Specter died. And that's going to wrap it up for us today on This Day in History for October 14th. Thank you so much for watching. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And feel free to share if you found this interesting or informative. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. On October, okay, with the notifications. Oh my. Mouth. Okay. 27. Oh boy, we got our years mixed up. I missed that part. Oh, dang it. I forgot to put his name in there. I'm going to have to look at that. So, plumbing happens. This is why I don't do live shows.